My name is Tat Frankie. I'm an artist. I use photography as my medium most of the time, though I have also done installations and video and neon sculpture. To the right of me are two pieces that represent some of my newest work. This piece, the blue piece, is called The Other Side of Light, and the red-pink piece behind me is called Red Lotus. So the way I think about this series, Leonize, is that I'm painting with light. I use I photograph neon tubes to get these colors, and through the evolution of this series, I went from a very structured series where everything really had very specific lines and real color separations, and that was what was really fascinating to me. And then I went through a period where all I wanted to do was real neutrals, because that was the challenge, was really to get neutrals out of neon tubing. How do you do that? And now I'm really focusing more on the individual tubes and really just talking about that one color or that single color variation that will still draw you in. These pieces as horizontals are far more peaceful than they are when they are vertical. I feel like they represent more of an emotional landscape where you can walk into the image and experience it in a much more serene way. The horizontal lines actually allow you to enter the image. And the vertical lines, when they're placed this way, are very, very different because of this sense of this column of energy that moves through them. Whether it be moving down as a waterfall or moving up as a beam of light, it still has this great energy to it. A lot of the catalyst behind creating this whole series was a particular interest of mine, which is color and color theory and how color affects us as individuals. So to me, using color field and using color is such an emotional process because it affects us on such a level, and oftentimes a level that we don't even understand as we look at it. We look at this color blue or this color pink and have this response and say, we don't even know why.
I am Perry Burns. I'm a painter, and this painting here is called Rose Madder. So I essentially will try one thing compositionally or color-wise. I'll explore a certain aspect of the paint or the quality of composition. And as I build up layers and then break them down, things emerge that I don't expect. And it's all a series of patterns that are built up into this larger structure. So it creates this play both two-dimensionally across the surface like any pattern would, but also three-dimensionally into the illusion of the three-dimensional space. These shapes are interdependent, and that's an important aspect. You know, visually, spiritually, everything is that they're interdependent. One can't exist without the other, and that's sort of a message that is part of my paintings that I want to get across.
My name's Tyrone Tripoli, and I make art, mostly sculpture. And what I'm standing next to is a piece that I'm showing in Miami, and it's part of my plastic construction series. And my focus for this series is to integrate disparate objects and create a flowing form. And we're in my studio, and this is where I organize, I disassemble any of the objects that I find and sort them by color, shape, and form, and I have them in shelves. It's my palette. I'm creating abstract sculpture. So I use the incidental color and form, and I have certain rules, and one of the rules is that I don't manipulate the form at all, that I want to use it as is. I want to use it in its original state. I don't want to mask the past life of the object, but I actually want to still transform it at the same time, and that is transforming it by combining it with other objects that have a different origin and transform it in that way, so you have this experience of seeing what it was and what it is now.
My name is Saray Pajoya, and furniture has been a really essential part of everything that I've created in this work, in this body of work. And it's also something that's very important, I think, to emphasize the familiarity that we all feel with the objects and elements around us. So turning these sculptures into photographs was a really fun way for me to reconnect with the work, reconnect with ideas that have been long-standing. When I created these pieces, they were expressions of moments, of memories, of the perception of what we experienced versus what we actually did experience.
I'm Jeff Meese, and I'd like to speak with you a little bit about my work as a painter. My work as an artist has been about breaking down and synthesizing of my subject matter, moving away from more realist sensibility to a much more simplified and abstract, if you will, sensibility that roughly parallels the history of painting. So I'm looking to engage the viewer on an emotional level, a sensual level, and a spiritual level. And I do that through my use of color. I work with another artist, this guy Mike. We share the studio together. And he said to me, he says, like, Jeff, what color blue is that? And I was like, well, you can't get that. It doesn't come in a tube.